As a physics student preparing for the JAMB UTM examination, you need to know the difference between incident ray, reflected ray, angle of incidence, angle of reflection, as well as glancing angle. So this video will help you to know all of these things. So let's answer this question. It says a ray of light strikes a plane mirror at an angle of incidence which is 25 degrees. The angle made by the reflected ray with the surface of the mirror is dash. So what do we call the law of reflection? One of the laws of reflection states that the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal all lie on the same plane. So this is what I mean. Let's say this is the plane mirror now, and then we have this to be the normal. The incident ray, which is the incoming ray of light, this is the incident ray. The incident ray, and then this is the reflected ray. Because when the incident ray meets this surface, it bounces back. This represents the incident ray, which is the incoming ray of light, the reflected ray, and then the normal all lie on the same plane. And the second law made us to understand that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. What do we call the angle of incidence? There is a difference between angle of incidence and the incident ray, and also there is a difference between angle of reflection and the reflected ray. This is the incoming ray of light, which is the incident ray. What then do we call the angle of incidence? The angle of incidence is the angle between the normal and the incident ray. That is from here to here. That is what we call the angle of incidence. The angle between the incident ray and the normal is the angle of incidence. And also the angle between the normal and the reflected ray is known as the angle of reflection. The angle between the normal and the incident ray is the angle of incidence. Then the angle between the normal and the reflected ray is the angle of reflection. So we have been told that the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection, they are the same, they are equal. So if this is 50 degrees, there too will be 50 degrees. That's the meaning. The angle of incidence and the angle of reflection, they are equal. So now we are told to find the angle made by the reflected ray with the surface of the mirror. So imagine we have this. From the question, this is the incident ray, this is the reflected ray. So we are given the angle of incidence to be 25 degrees. So if this is the angle of incidence 25 degrees, that means the angle of reflection too will be 25 degrees. The angle made by the reflected ray to the surface will now be 90 minus 25 degrees. Remember I said from here now to here, the angle is 90 degrees. It is a right angle. So out of 90, we've gotten 25 degrees. So 90 minus 25 degrees will now give us 65 degrees. So the angle made by the reflected ray, this is the reflected ray, to the surface of the mirror is 65 degrees. So the right answer there is 65 degrees, which is option D. Thank you.